To try it.
I have you now. Mark Murphy, are you ready to tee it up?
Oh, I'm ready to fire it up the fairway, boy.
That's how these things generally start off. Waterville, Florida. But before we get to that, before we get going properly, before I ask you a couple of serious questions, some not so serious questions, we have a couple of friends or frenemies, depending, in common. One being Mr. Peter O'Keefe and one being a certain Kieran Donaghy. So, which is the bigger frenemy, Mark? How'd you know the boys?
I know Kieran because he was a great old star for the Kerry team. I was a big football fan when I was home, and I still am. I had a couple of what do you call it, adult beverages there last weekend with him in Waterville, and Pedro through golf. I travelled with Pedro all over Europe when we played Challenge Tour together, and they're two bios, that's for sure.
I was going to say the first bios Peter O'Keefe and the second bigger bios Kieran Donaghy, but yeah, two great men from Cork and Kerry. So
Jesus, you'd hate to have them inside trying to knock a ball down between the two of those statues.
Well, I know Peter. I just track him when he was playing with yourself, and then he relinquished that status, and he does a lot of work for kids with disabilities and kids with autism down in Douglas. So I was doing a course with him in Tipperary once upon a time. So we chatted then. And Kieran Donaghy, I idolised, and then I ended up playing with Austin Stacks for a few years. So I used to try and hit him as hard as fucking possible. But I think I was one of the best water boys he had. So hopefully I've got that going for me.
You bounced off him, I'm sure, a few times.
But yeah, no, my claim to fame is we were training. Well, he was training. I was trying to stop him from training. My claim to fame is he fell on top of me and put 2 discs out my back. He doesn't know that now. That's my claim to fame. And I spent 4 days on my sitting room floor. That was the advice.
Horse of a man.
Sleep on the floor, I was told. So yeah, I ate on the floor, slept on the floor, and I watched The Big Break. And then I found out about you.
You must
Here
have
we
been
are
well
now.
bored. You must have been well bored when you were on the floor.
Absolutely not. So commit to me. The generally kick these off with what is your earliest memory in golf, Mark?
Jeez, my earliest memory of golf had to be with my dad. God rest him. He just passed away in November. He was pretty much why I played golf, really. I was big into soccer, and it was my dream to play soccer. And he used to pull me out of the bed on a Sunday. They used to have a men's competition every Sunday at Waterville. Come out and caddy. And I hated it. I hated caddying. He used to give me a fiver. It didn't matter if he gave me 500. And one year he was playing the President's Prize. I must have been probably only about 14. And he won the President's Prize. And it was a driver, a 3-wood and a 5-wood from... Actually, it was a driver and a 4-wood from Technic. That was a company back in the day. I don't know if you're too young to remember that. And he brought me up and made the presentation to me after winning. And then I never kind of looked back from golf from then on. I kind of played soccer for a little bit after that, but it was all golf after that.
No, that's a great memory to have. It's a fantastic memory to have. You are one of those people who you'd be suspicious of. Do you know why? You have a very low online presence. So if you Google Mark Murphy golf, so contrary to popular opinion, I actually do a bit of research for these. I have 5 bullet points for you.
Very
right?
good. Let's hear 'em.
So, how old were you when you got the driver and forward off your dad?
Probably 14 or 15, I'd say.
14 or 15. So that's when you kind of stopped caddying and started playing. By 19, you were scratch. Yeah? Is that bullet point correct? And then turn pro. Well, this is off the Big Break bio. So turn pro after high school. Now, we wouldn't call it high school over here. We call it secondary school.
It took me a while to turn pro, I think. The old memory is bad. 45 years old now, by a lot of water and beer gone under the bridge since then. I was +2 when I was 18. That's all I remember. I was 16 handicapped the day of my 16th birthday, and I was +2 on my 18th birthday.
Crikey. Did you go to school at all, or were you just living on the links 24/7, 52 weeks?
I back every morning with a buddy of mine, Jumbo. We used to. He runs the coffee shop there in the railroad station in Killarney. Go in there and have a drink with him. He's a character, and we played 54 holes a day. We used to go back to the 16th hole and when it was still dark, cycle back, and we'd wait till the first crowd came around. We'd hit balls till the first crowd came around. So we'd usually about 3 hours of practice done by the time somebody came to the 16th. It was, I mean, when you look back at the childhood I had, I wish I could go back and revisit it all again.
What comes to mind when you think about growing up in Waterville?
Well, living in America now, you see the sadness that's in this country. It's the most amazing country in the world, but like I drop my daughter to school every day, and there's armed police standing outside her school, and they're there all the way through the day. So the freedom that we had growing up in Ireland or in Waterville, it was incredible. My mother, I mean, she was something, but she might see. I'd go to school in the morning, and how she'd know I was still alive is the bag would be inside. I used to even go home from school. I'd go home, drop the bag at the front door, go play soccer then till dark with all my buddies. She never worried once about, anything happening to me. And now, it's still, in Waterville, it's still pretty much the same way. But, you see the freedom we had as children over there. I bring my daughter back there as much as I can so that she can kind of enjoy the whole country and see how I grew up. Over here, you don't have anything like that.
Yeah, it's a bit different. Funny when you say it. My wife's two nieces, they're twins. They're not from Kerry at all. They've lovely flowing ginger hair. They're from Kerry, but they're in New Jersey now. But they're actually back for this week, and it's hilarious. They're 8 going on 28. It's very, very different to when I was 8, I'll tell you that much. I wasn't very streetwise growing up in North Clare as they are, I'll tell you that much. It's a bit mad.
Yeah, it's different. Well, you have to be. I mean, that's what, unfortunately, you have to be a little bit older in this country. You have to know what's going on,
You do. Generally, the second question, what was the compelling event for you to take on golf as number one sport and indeed as the go-to career?
I don't know. Like I said, I got good quick. And then once I spent all day, every day at the golf course in the summer. Like I was nowhere else. I was caddying. I was looking for golf balls. I was hitting golf balls, chipping and putting. I wish I brought my 16-year-old self to my professional career, when I just spent all day, every day there. I kind of lost that, I won't say the love for it, but I wish that I practiced as much when I was 25 as I did when I was 16, and that's probably why I never, I suppose, got as successful at the game as I would have wished to or hoped to have done.
That's fair. No, you wouldn't be the only man. I'm nowhere near the same level as yourself, but even like growing up in the Hinch, and I spent the ages of kind of 12 to 21 caddying, and got to 10 when I was maybe 16, and I was 10 for 10 years, 10 handicap, because I just didn't practice. Do you know what I mean? Just played, caddied 36 a day, played 9, went home. No, I didn't drink at all until I went to college. No.
Good for you.
No, my parents were teetotalers and still are. Work, bite, college. I had about a 50-yard week in college and was playing football. Imagine that, in Clare, but was trying to. And then after college, I was shipped off to Italy. I did engineering because I wanted to go design golf clubs. Anyone who listens to the podcast, I rattle on about that a little bit. And that's why I asked that question about what was your compelling event to do what you do, because I didn't do the J1 to Carlsbad, and I didn't go do, what I wanted by going to college. So that's why I asked that question, because it's kind of the demographic that follows me or whatever, be it small or whatever, or listen to this podcast. They're generally, kind of 17 to 30 and trying to figure shit out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're trying to learn a few things here.
That when you get older, man, you think the road. What road where would you be if you did play golf? Or if I never played golf, where would I be? I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's much different.
I loved football. I played football all my life too. So and
Waterville was always a tough place to go play football, even for the B team here there in Stags.
Pucks down there, yeah. And the wind would always blow up there, right up the middle of that pitch.
The two places I hated was Waterville and then the Gaeltacht. The Gaeltacht's pitch right on the beach. But what do you do for fun now?
I have a 5-year-old who is like, I've always wanted to be a dad, and I think that's the most fun. That's why I get out of bed in the morning now, is for her. I mean, I adore her, and she keeps me going. I still play. I teach. I have a studio at my house. I teach all the time. I play a decent enough amount of golf when I'm home. When it's in the winter time, in the summertime, it's 105 out there today. It's disgusting. It's like
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how
it's
Irish people
fun.
live there.
I'm playing golf tomorrow for the first time in a month now, so it should be fun. But I enjoy. Like I said, I enjoy. She takes up most of my time, and then when she's at school, I teach here and have a little golf travel business with a buddy of mine, and we set up golf events and different stuff. So I'm kind of all over the place, but just keep rolling along.
No, 100%. Right out of left field. What's your favourite golf movie?
Favorite golf movie has to be Caddyshack.
I literally watched that for the first time in April, and I did myself a disservice. I should have watched it like fucking 20 years ago, but I knew all the jokes. You know what I mean? I've seen all the memes for years. So I did up on a parapet up here about how good it was, but it's still good. Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, it was a disappointment once you got to it.
Little bit, but it's still like top.
Comedies, yeah.
It's like Airplane.
My brother-in-law came and caddied for me recently, and I brought the Fire Stick, and I put on a couple of old movies for him, and he's 33 or 34, like, and these are movies that I remember, like, pissing my pants watching, and he was like, kept looking at him, and he was straight-faced through the whole movie, and I'm like, do you not get this, like, Top Secret and what else? Blazing Saddles and all these, and he's like looking at me going, you've got problems. Back in the day, I remember myself pissing my pants laughing at it. Now it's not as funny as it was back then, you know.
It wouldn't be made
now.
The
world is too serious now.
It wouldn't be made now. What was it? We were watching Zoolander yesterday. It was on the telly.
Oh yeah.
Oh crikey! Definitely won't be made now. Golf Channel Big Break winner 2011 in the program's 16th season. How did that happen? As in, like, how did the big break come across your radar?
There was a buddy of mine that started up a company called Galway Bay Apparel, and it was 11 to 14 or 15 years ago. I met him going to a back then it was not Corn Ferry, it was web.com event. I forgot my golf shoes, and I pulled into this shop. The guy was in there, owned the shop. Said, you're from Ireland? Yeah. He said, I want to show you something. So he brought out these pants, and they were golf pants with a tracksuit bottom underneath them, really warm tracksuit bottom. They're still going. And long story cut short, the first event that he wanted me to go in and help him out a little bit. So the first event we went to was down in Tampa, and it was a seniors tour event 14, 15 years ago. And, well, it was 12 years ago if it was 12 years ago. And one of the owners of Waterville Golf Course texted me and said they're looking for somebody to go on the Golf Channel on the big break, and I was like, I'm not going on that. I watched it before, and I said, no, I won't be doing that. And they said they'll take you in right now for an interview in Orlando if you go over. So long story short, I went to Nike, and I bought a pair of shoes, pants, t-shirt, belt, went in. And I was thinking, I'm going to the Golf Channel. I was expecting, whoa, this is going to be the coolest place ever. It was like a prefab. And I hit balls into a little, wiffle balls into a net out the back. I was thinking, man, Golf Channel, yes! And it was a prefab. And then, I didn't care. That's why I got on it, I think. I couldn't give it, I told them answers that were, different stuff that I look back at now. I'd love to see that original interview if I could get it. I probably could. It was probably hilarious because I did it for the guy who owned Waterville Golf Course. I did it just to please him. And I was like, I don't give a shit. And I gave him answers, like crazy answers. And next thing, about 2 weeks' time, they called me and said, you're on big break. You can't tell anybody. You can't do this. You can't do that. But you need to take these 2 weeks out of your schedule. You'll be gone off the face of the planet. You won't be able to talk to anyone. You're gone. So I was like, all right, perfect. And the rest is, as you can see, history.
Rest is history. It's a show I think was ahead of its time when you come to reality TV and the exposure you get. And it was very much US based. But if that had happened, if the big break ran now, you'd be like global superstars. Like you've shows like Love Island and and what's it? Too Hot to Handle. You know.
After I won, they asked me to go to the golf show in January. After I won, and I was confused. Like, that's the perfect word I'd use. Like, I couldn't walk 2 feet without taking a picture or signing an autograph. Like, I mean, everybody in golf watched it, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I'd never seen. I watched maybe once on TV years before. I watched one episode, and I was like, wow, I just wasn't into it. And the next thing, I won, and like I swear to God, I couldn't walk 2 feet without taking a picture or sign autographs. But then you go into the next, you like, what are we, 13, did I say 12 years later? I was, me and my wife were coming back from Ireland last week, sitting in Philadelphia. I had no golf attire on, and I'm sitting there, and there's a guy across sitting next to me, and he had a Strixon hat on or something, and he says to me, he says, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, you were golfing in Ireland? Yeah. He says, you're Mark Murphy from the Big Break. And I was like, 12 years later, I said, how do you know anything about that 12 years later? But people watch that, like, religiously. It's pretty crazy.
No, I thought it's great. I thought it's a great format. And if you're into golf, you knew who Mark Murphy was. I found out what the winners received. So if they shortchanged, I apologise. But this is what's on the bio: 50 grand in cash. You played the Irish Open, which I think Pedro caddied for you if that's the right picture. On Google Images.
18th hole to make the cut on the number at Royal Port Rush. That was one of the coolest. You talk about memories that live in your head. I was playing with Mark Foster. He was leading the tournament, and we were the last group so number 9. Yeah, we were last group on the front side, and the cut was 2 under. I was even par, I think it was, and Pedro says we have to eagle this to make the cut. Hit driver 3-wood out of my boots to about 20 feet, and I hold it, and I turned around, and I jumped up into Mark Foster's arms, and Mark Foster was leading the tournament at the time. So it was a pretty cool memory that he was winning, and I just made the cut. But that was great memories.
Now that's class. That is class. After that, there's a
Moroccan Open as well. The Moroccan Open.
That's
the one. I made the cut over there as well. Yeah, I had back spasms the whole week of that event, of the week before getting over to that event. I couldn't even walk. Didn't hit a shot until Thursday morning for my tee shot. They broke my driver 3-wood and 5-wood flying over there. I opened the bag. Back spasms, as things weren't bad enough. Pulled the bag open, driver 3-wood, 5-wood snapped. And it wasn't as easy as it is now, where you just put a new head into the shaft. And I'm trying to think of his name, Adrian. He still works. I often see him on TV. Adrian.
Is it Reedfield in Taylor mate?
What's his second name?
Reedfeld, or something like that.
That's
is
him,
it? Taylor truck. Yeah.
That's him. The greatest dude ever. He made me a driver 3-wood, 5-wood off of the specs that I had in my other clubs. And the first shot I hit was on the first tee on Thursday. And I made the cut there too. I actually had I think I was going decently until the last round. I remember making a bollocks of the last round. Can I say that on this?
No, you can, of course. This is not made for kids.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is over 18s only.
Or if you're like, my son is 12 and he's autism, so he's like, if we go to like a 16s movie, he's like, Dad, this is 16s, I shouldn't be here. It's like, it's okay, I'm with you, I'll mind you, don't worry. I'll put my hand over your eyes if anything comes up, just for like Star Wars or something, Adam's golf contract was part of it, which included 10k in cash, 10k shopping spree in Dick's Sporting Goods, 10k airline credit, and a wonderful West of Ireland trip for 2. So my most important question is, who was on the wonderful West of Ireland trip for 2?
No one. Never used it. Swear to God. Never used it.
So you knew every mile, I'd say. You didn't need to go on that.
There was a car and everything involved for free there. Never used it.
There's probably a trip around the ring of Kerry or something, is it?
Jeez, should I go looking for that for the crack now? I'll call them up and say, how are you doing there? I'm looking for the around the West of Ireland trip there, please. 12 years
Looking
ago,
to
Mark Murphy,
looking
big break.
looking to redeem my trip.
I should
Ring
do
a
that
car,
just to
ring
take the
a
piss out of them. That would be
ring a
great.
Kerry tour.
I'm going to call them. I should record it. How you doing, Golf Channel? Mark Murphy here. Winner of Big Break 2000 and whenever it was. Oh my God, it'd be some crack. And
Yeah,
she'd say,
especially if you stay in the
hold
Butler
on,
Arms or
can we-
something.
Huh?
Especially if you was like to stay in the Butler Arms and then go on through steam and taking Skellig
I'd take
Mickelin.
anything. Yeah, all right. Better than getting nothing for it, like I did. Yeah, I never went. Never that was never redeemed. The Golf Channel were delighted they didn't push it either. I see. I didn't even remember until you just said that there.
The third bullet point, played Euro Pro Challenge and PGA Latino American Tours. That's a lot of travel, first of all. So I said the 10K airline credit was used pretty quickly.
Yeah, it didn't last long, that's for sure.
And from speaking to people like Pedro and, Colin Moriarty was on this podcast, I think episode 6. He was like, the Challenge Tour is a tour that you want to get the fuck off it as fast as possible and go up, what was that like in those years? Because you're talking 2012 through a few years there when purses weren't good post downturn and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, it was torture. Golf is torture as a sport when it comes to professional. It's so top heavy. It's disgusting. It's still that way, and I guess it'll never change. But the PGA Tour and all these guys can find $1 million to pour into the smaller tours. It's a joke, and that's something that I go on podcasts a bit, and then I get lit up about it because it is bullshit. You're trying to grow the game, but these fellas are living in their cars. We fortunately we never had to do that, but. Me and Pedro slept in the same bed for weeks at some of the places because it saved us money. You know what I mean? It was big. He was the biggest man I ever slept with. Even I never got into bed with Donnie, but he was probably a bit bigger.
This will be the name of this podcast: Biggest Man I Ever Slept With, Mark Murphy.
You should change it over. No, but it's true. Like, they don't give people a chance. They don't give them an opportunity. People send me messages. Hey, my son's coming out of college. What should he do? I said, do you want me to be honest or lie to you? Oh, honest, of course. I said, he needs to learn how to win and get on the small tour. There's a tour here called the Minor League Tour. If you can't win on the Minor League Tour, you can't win on any tour. They have a minor league event every single day, all year long. So it's like $200-300. If anybody's listening, thinking about turning pro, come to Florida, spend a month here, play the Euro Pro Tour, or play the Minor League Tour here. If you can't win here, go get a job. And it's as simple as that, because there's no money whatsoever involved in golf unless you hit the big screen. And everybody, thinks that they have it in them, and more power. I did back when I played. I was fortunate enough to have people that helped me out. But even at that, you're always watching every dime, staying in, trying to, stay wherever you can, rent a car, as cheap as possible. Man, I have stories about traveling. You could have the 10 podcasts. If you got me and Pedro on together, I swear to God, you would have a series.
We might do that at Christmas. Next time you're home, we'll go down and get around in, and I'll bring the mics, and we'll just leave them on. We'll just leave them on.
Really funny. We have some stories from traveling around. Jeez. Yeah. I remember one time in the Euro Pro Tour, we got 10 people into Mondeo. Padraig Dooley was driving it. 10 people. There was golf bags. There was people. Inside the Mondeo. Is there 10? Let me think about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I apologize. 6 people with golf bags. That makes more sense now. I'm trying to think of who was there. Me and Timmy Rice were in the front seat. I can't remember my name most of the time. Dooley was driving, and me and Tim Rice were in the front seat. And there was 3 more in the back with golf bags, and because everybody had the same flight, and nobody was going to get a taxi because they couldn't afford it. So there was 6 of us, yeah, and 6 golf bags, 6 luggage, and all into Mondeo heading to the airport. I remember Dooley was giving out, man. He's like, you can't come, you got to get out. And nobody got out. We kept going. Oh, they were the days, man. We used to rent houses and stay together. The fun we had. Mike McGeady, Pedro, me. Who else was in the house? Oh, these they were. When you look back and you think about the fun we had it wasn't all doom and gloom. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of fun playing golf as amateurs or as semi-pros, you could call us, because I feel like that's what the Euro Pro is. It should be called semi-pro, where you're kind of confused.
Yeah, it's gone now as of last year. It wrapped up.
Oh, really?
There's a thing called the Clutch Tour, which covers the UK. And they have a couple of events in Ireland, and they have like a Clutch/Challenge Tour event as well, only last year. So they're trying to do bits. But like that, the way you described it is exactly how they actually run it. They have a few spots at the back of the event for like amateurs, and like if I wanted to play in it, do you know what I mean? I could just pay my 150 quid and play in the event on the amateur leaderboard, you know. But
Yeah, what use is that? Why are they doing that? Just cause?
Just cause.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of opens up people's eyes into.
They have it here too.
You know, if you're not winning on that, don't even think about. Don't even think about it, like you said.
The fields are there's so much depth in them now, and it's ridiculous. I mean, even at the amateur level, look at the players that are coming out of college. You know, it's the hardest game in the world right now. I don't care what anybody says, and you know, if you're one of the top 500 players at any other sport in the world, you're making millions and millions of dollars. You know, and same in golf. But like, if you're in the top 1,000, you're making nothing. Like outside the top 500 people in the world, the rest are penny pinching to try and get through. And it shouldn't be the way the game is, because there's so much money there.
Yeah, and you know, the last 18 months have really shown that the money was always there. But maybe that is for a different podcast around a high stool.
The PGA Tour are spewing in money. They charge $5,000 to go to Q school now over here. And everyone, if you want to go to Canadian Q school, if you want to go to Latin America Tour school, if you want to go to web.com, that's $5,000 before you even hit a shot. And there's like, if you look it up at the start of when they have Q school in December, look up how many sites there are. There must be 30 sites. Multiply that by 150 people, multiply that by 5,000. Every Monday qualifier, €400 or dollars. I mean, the PGA Tour, you know, they give it all this shit to the Live Tour. Listen, they're just as corrupt themselves, because they don't try. They don't help. You know, I mean, look at the web.com or the Corn Ferry. The winner gets what? Look at the Champions Tour. The Champions Tour is the biggest tour, you know, the best. It's actually the coolest thing to go watch, because they're all best, you know, the best players in the world when we were growing up, and they're rolling around, having the time of their life, and they win, they make 250,000. 250,000. I mean, they were playing for 250,000 when they were young. I mean, it just makes no sense how the PGA Tour does their stuff, and you know, they're going back and forth about how bad the Live is and everything. Why wouldn't you want to take the money off the Live Tour? You're an idiot if you don't take the money. Idiot.
Oh, like Dustin Johnson said it, didn't he?
Huh?
Dustin Johnson said it. He's like, who wouldn't take that deal? You know?
Who
are you kidding?
200 million. If you got 200 million, you'd set your family for the next 10 generations wouldn't have to scratch their arse for the rest of their lives, living in mansions, driving whatever cars they wanted, if you did a right job with your money. And why wouldn't you? You play 10 events a year, you play in shorts, there's music on, you can drink beer if you feel like it, I'm sure. I'm surprised somebody hasn't, because they don't really give a shit. And like, it's so, like, look at Lucas Glover winning last night. Nice guy, but like, have a bit of personality, like laugh.
Yeah.
You just won the second week in a row.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You just made, how much did he make? 6-7
He made
million?
he made 3.7 or 8 million yesterday. Now, this podcast is out for a few weeks, but like a few weeks ago, Lucas Glover won the borderline of 7 to 8 million in 2 weeks, more than he's won on tour in the last 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. So you could give a cracking old smile.
You know, and pre-live, it would have been half that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Which means that money was always there.
It's always there. And you swing it over to the Live Tour. What did your man made? 4 million.
4 mil. That's his fourth time winning this year.
And I'll throw another one in for you. They pay the caddies too. They pay the caddy the 10%. They pay the caddy 10%.
Live do.
So you don't have to.
Cam Smith doesn't have to pay him.
Exactly, if he doesn't want to. But I mean, any normal man or human being was going to pay that too. So you get double banger for caddying on the current or on the live tour. Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next 3 to 6 months, I think. I heard a couple of things that the only reason that they partnered is, like you said, PGA Tour doesn't want to open the books because they'd have to do that if it went to court. They'd have to open the books and show everybody, and it's like that show. It's on Prime. Other streaming services are available. The CIA agent, he just follow the money. All you got to do is follow the money. That's all I think about it to see the PGA Tour.
Well, they follow the money, and look at them now, just absolutely peeling it in. Last place, what they make, $500,000 or something for last place.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's just stupid.
Yeah, and that's the top percentile of the top percentile. You know, you got to feel for guys. I always say it. People ask me, you know, how high up the rankings do you have to be in the jet? And I'm probably like top 20 in the world now. It used to be top 50, probably top 20 now. If you're number 126 or above, you're breaking even. Once you go above top 200, you got to question your reason for living. That's how fickle it is.
Busting your ass every day, all day, every day, busting your ass.
That's how fickle it is.
You know, the problem with that is you go out there and you play a year on the tour and you make zero to miss. I think they just changed that though. They're giving you money now to make a cut. I think
but that's depending on your status as well. Do you know what I mean? So if you're
and you get in, suck on that. Nice
suck
going.
On,
you see you later.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so backwards. It's so stupid. Like the guy who do you think if Rory McIlroy misses the cut, that he gives a shit about making $5,000 or whatever, $10,000 or whatever it is they give? He couldn't care less.
Doesn't really mind.
He burns that in his jet the minute he flies out of the airport 2 minutes out. And the poor guy that just Monday qualifies thinks, oh, this is it. My life has changed. And you shoot 2 rounds of 75 and then you're back at the back of the queue with nothing and it's after costing you $10,000 to try it. Oh, that's a load of bullshit.
I know. There's whatever about living PG, I've kind of clued in on, you know, not where the money is. I know forensic accountant, but there's a couple of outlets I do get sort of the good info from. So Monday Q Info, I think he's part of Matt Janella's Fire Pit Stories now. He put up a couple of weeks because he follows all the Mondays, obviously. Monday Q Info.
Yeah.
And he was a couple of weeks ago, I think it went to like, your man shot 61. There was a 5-hole. It went to 5 extra holes. He was 300 for the 5 holes and still didn't qualify. That's how good. That's how good you need to be to Monday qualify.
It's
madness.
That years ago when I before I quit playing. I went and tried Monday qualifiers. I mean, you don't shoot 65. 65 usually doesn't get in either. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like David Carey's at it now, and he's Monday qualified 3 times. But I feel sometimes, you know, the juice is gone. The juice is gone by the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. This guy with the funny hat. He wears an Irish hat or something. Is that the lad?
He does, yeah. He shot when Alps Tour. He shot a 58 or no 57, Mr. 57. So Bryson nearly took it off him there a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it's 70 or 72.
I think it was a 77. David Carey's was a 72, I think. It was up in the Alps somewhere. Literally at the Alps Tour. Sometimes there. Yeah.
How do you play that there?
To my knowledge. He said he had one of the worst warm-ups of all time in the range. I went out and did it. Hold everything. Hold everything. But he's doing that now.
That's how you do it.
That he's doing Monday qualifying now, and I got like his attitude. I just got to make one cut. That's his kind of attitude. But at the moment, you'll burn money. You know, you're Monday qualifying to the PGA Tour.
Look at the guys that didn't make the playoffs over here now. The guys that didn't make the playoffs now are going to be so far behind starting next year with the money. If you finished outside the 125, is that what they took?
125 is the bracket, yeah.
Yeah, so if you finished outside that, all these guys that are ahead of you are making money, and you're not. You're sitting at home.
Sitting at home watching it. Where was I going to go with that? The other people, Fire Pit did, they do like the grind series on YouTube, right? And Mark Baldwin was on it, and it kind of really opened to my eyes as to, you know, the amount of money required to live on the PGA Tour, scraping around, has a kid, and then through a sponsor's exemption, or somehow, got into the AT&T, right? So it's going on mini tours, like you said, and it got into the AT&T, and he made more money from the few sponsors he got on his apparel than he ever made on the golf course that week. So I think MGM went on the hat or something. That was like 28 grand for the week because of where he was. And he's like, that's the most money I've ever won.
That was all right.
That was all right, wasn't it?
Okay.
But like that, he was
a good manager.
he was fifth or sixth going into Sunday, and was like, this is how much money he could win if he just like pars the last four. But then like didn't and went down to like 41st, and it was basically like a break-even week.
Ugh.
Between the
It's sort of
hotels,
all
whatever.
right.
It's yeah, like it's really, really tough. It kind of opened my eyes to that. Like, yeah, even on PGA Tour, unless you have a bit of a foundation of like winnings, it's
I mean, the top. I mean, you think about that, okay? And now you go to the caddies.
you know, and that's that his caddy's his best friend from high school, and the caddy was like, it does that whole story of telling the caddy telling his wife,
They probably stay together and live together.
oh yeah, live in the car, yeah.
Yeah, it's just nuts, man. They don't try, and I'm over it. I don't. People ask me about live and stuff. I say, good for them. Do whatever you want to do, because the PGA Tour, if they got pulled up, like you said, they didn't want to open their books, the shit that would come out from underneath them would be just as bad as what they think the live are doing.
And it will come out in time. It will come out in time. The transition from having the crack with Pedro and Tim and the boys on tour to Florida. What was that like?
Well, I played 2 years on the South American, Latin America PGA Tour, and then, like I said, I go back to wanting to be a dad. And when Elle came along, my daughter, I just had no desire to leave her at all. I just wanted to be home with her, and that made my decision pretty easy on what I was going to do. And I'm 45, 46 next birthday. If I'd be lying to you if I didn't think that I'd still have a little bit of a spark to try and play the Champions Tour. I know that these fellas, I mean, people think that you're just going to march out onto that Champions Tour and beat them. They're ridiculous. I caddy probably a couple of times a year for Rocco. I didn't do it this year now, but up until last couple of years I caddied, and they are so good. And the golf courses I would love if the PGA Tour to do something fun, do something where they bring the PGA Tour players and the Champions Tour players in the same event, where the Champions Tour guys are playing off the courses, the distance of the courses that they would be playing off. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
And let them have it and see. I can't believe they haven't come up with an idea for that. That'll be so fun to see actually how this would actually play out, because Bernard Langer, I mean, he's not even real.
He's very close to shooting less than his age, isn't he?
Oh my God!
Every day he goes out.
If he shoots even par, he's nearly shooting close to under his age. I mean, he's ridiculous. I mean, he really is. It's like a joke how good he is. I seen something come up recently. He's won there was 3 years he didn't win an event or something, and then in the last, was it 20 years or something, he's won an event.
Yeah. Multiple.
I mean,
multiple. It's bonkers.
Yeah, but it's a joke.
It's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. I was going to ask you another question, believe it or not, because I tried to get out sometimes with guests like you that are like very suspiciously not on the internet.
Right.
But you have a very good Instagram feed, fair play to you. I try and scroll all the way down to the bottom to see the first image was. I didn't quite get that far on yours today. But what I did see is you seem to have really good relationships with, certain people. It was funny with certain celebrities or certain great golfers. I suppose that's from where you are in Florida and caddying that. Like Doc Rivers was in Tralee today, by the way. He's probably going down Waterville way tomorrow. So he might get on to your buddies and they might have a chat with Doc Rivers. The question is, describe your relationship with Rocco Mediate.
I met Rocco in 2000 in Waterville, and we've been great pals ever since. He gave me his phone number there, and I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. And I was living in Boston at the time when I met him, and it was probably 2 years later. He was at a golf course for the Deutsche Bank in Boston, and I saw a car, and I said, "Who's driving that?" And they said, "Rocco Mediate." And I said to my buddy, "Oh, I know Rocco. I caddied from him in Waterville. He loves me." So this golf course was called Potawatomi, and it had this big hill that came up out of the 18. The 18 green was underneath the clubhouse, and you walk up this hill. So I was with my buddy, and Rocco was walking up, and he was on the phone. And I said, "Hey, Rock, how's it going?" And Rock looks up, looks at me, nods his head, and walks past me. And my buddy's like, "Oh yeah, he does know you. He loves you." I was so pissed off. I couldn't tell you. I met him like a year earlier, and he didn't remember me. I said, "That sucks." So after out the golf course, we played 9 holes, and the 10 tee is up over where all the cars are parked. So I said, "I'm not letting him away with this." So I come down off the top of the hill, and I said, "Hey, Rock." And he's like, "Murph, what are you doing here?" And I said to my buddy, "I told you he knew me." And then the rest is history. I went to that event with him, and that was actually the first event that Adam Scott won. He beat him by a shot at TPC. And we've been best buddies ever since. I used to go, when I played here on the Jack Nicklaus's Golden Bear Tour, I used to drive over on the weekends or whatever day I wasn't playing golf to hang out with him. And then Pedro used to come visit me from Southeastern when he had time off, and we'd just hang with Rock, and we've been great buddies ever since. And like I said, I caddy for him a couple of times a year, and he's a good man. We've been through a lot together.
I did listen to a 6-minute interview you did with the aforementioned Kieran Donaghy 4 years ago, and you told a story about you're possibly the only man who's caddied at the Masters in loafers.
Yeah, and probably the only man that has slept in the bed with the. I slept in the bed with Rocco the night before the final round because the house was full of people. He had a house, and Greg Raymer, the poker player, came in, and he had no room, and I had a room, and Rocco's manager said, "You're going to have to move out," and the couch was full too. Rock said, "You can sleep with me." So I looked over at Rocco before we went to sleep, and I said, "I can't wait to tell this story. I slept with the Masters champion the night before he won the event." And he ended up, that was the time he was leading, going to the back 9. I wonder what year that is.
09.
Was it 09?
09,
I think that was the same week. So we go to the course, and I fly in the morning. I meet him. He picks me up from the airport. I got a nice pair of pants on. I'm going to walk around and watch him.
On the Monday practice, is it?
On the Monday practice. We get to the golf course. I'm thinking, right, he parks the car. We put our bags at the hotel. We're going to just come in. So he decides, I said, "Are you going to play?" "No, I'm not going to probably play." So we get to the golf course. He says, "I'm going to play 9 holes." And they said, "You have to take one of the caddies." So we walk up, and all the caddies, there's none of them are there, whatever. They're there, but they don't, whatever. And Rock says to you, "Man, can Murph caddy?" "Yeah." And I'm like, "Where the fuck am I going to go? I'm wearing a pair of penny loafer brown shoes, dude. I can't caddy." He's like, "Nobody will know." It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I pull on the jumpsuit, the green hat, and the penny loafers, and off I head. Oh my God, I skeeted around. We played, and to make things worse, he played the back 9. He hit a golf ball into the water on number 15. I think he did it on purpose, the asshole. And he says to me, "Go get it." And I'm like, "I'm not getting that." It was sitting on the edge of the water because I knew if I went down that hill, I was going to end up inside in the water. So I got my hands and knees and crawled down and got the golf ball. But yeah, I did caddy 9 holes at Augusta in a pair of penny loafers. Probably the only fella ever.
And the only man since. You mentioned a golf tour business, and on another post, might have been only a week or so ago, you have some trip planned for next year. So anybody who wants in on this, because about 20% of the listeners are in the States. There's another 10% or so in Australia. So what's this trip in 2024 that you're putting together or have put together? And can you walk us through it?
The one for the football game?
That's the one.
Yeah, FSU versus Georgia Tech. It's a serious week. 7-day trip to Ireland, golf, the game, and tour around the whole country. and playing golf. So I'll be there, and my buddy Dennis, who's one of my partners in the business, will be there, and it's going to be a pretty amazing week of golf. And if you're an FSU fan or a Georgia Tech fan or neither fan, you just want to go, you can look me up on my social stuff, and I'll organise it all for you guys.
And all the links will be in the show notes below. Is how that one goes. What's your pre-round prep, right? So let's just say you're playing. What's your favourite golf course locally, where you are?
It's a good question.
Because your pre-round prep in Waterville will be stociously different, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, just to have a pint and flake it up the minute. Like I wouldn't, if I was going to play, I wouldn't. Like, I'm a member here of the two Trump golf courses, Jupiter and International, which are both within half hour of my house. So I wouldn't really necessarily. I'd go there if I was playing. I'd go there half an hour before. But tournament is different.
Yeah, we'll say tournament, right? You tee off at 9 o'clock. It's international. What does your morning look like?
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably get up. I get up early because I get into it. I get up about 7 o'clock, I'd say, and then have a bit of breakfast and roll around a little bit because I'm getting old now, man. If I don't roll on that foam roller, I might, there's a lot of weird sounds come out of me in the morning.
Pedro has an app for that.
He's apt for everything, that boy. You could be rolling around with all sorts of stuff with him, and then I get to the course like I haven't changed anything over the years. It's the same thing for me. I'm a great driver of the golf ball, so if I could hit my putter as straight as I hit my driver, I'd probably be on TV playing. That's the difference. Putting is where, as a kid, I used to be a great putter, and now it's definitely my. I played a Corn Ferry Tour. I got a sponsor's invite there this year, and I shot one over the first day. I hit 17 greens. I had 36 putts. Ray Charles would have putted better than me. I mean, from 2 feet, I couldn't make it. And I don't feel like I had the yips. I just couldn't make anything. And it was maybe because I haven't played in an event in years. That's golf. It's hard to know what to do. You can prepare as best you can for a golf tournament, but the best way to prepare is to play in everything. Anybody that wants to, it's different for everybody. Pressure is different for everyone. Like if you're a club player, coming down the stretch for a Christmas ham, you're going to get nervous. Same with everybody. Everybody has a different level of nerves, and you don't know what to do unless you've been there. That's why Lucas Glover. I'll bet you Lucas Glover would not have won this week if he didn't win last week. You know what I mean? It was a walk in the park for him. He had nothing to lose. I mean, the up and down on 17 was ridiculous.
I think the kids call it filthy, wasn't it?
That's about filthy. That's about as filthy as you get.
Yeah,
it was nasty.
Is there a time in your life that really tested your mettle? Could have been the back seat with Pedro. And what did you learn about yourself, or by dealing with it, or by not dealing with it?
I don't know what country I was in. I was just the things that live in your memory. I was was it Germany or somewhere all on my own. I don't know why I was there on my own, but I remember shooting 74, and I was sitting on a washing machine washing my clothes, and I remember ringing my mother crying on the phone. And she's like, the Irish mother, come away home out of it. Pack your bags up and come away home out of it. And I didn't. I finished the tournament. I don't know, missed the cut or made the cut. But the things that live in my memory is because it's so difficult. I mean, this game is it's the best game in the world, but it's so difficult. Even if you hit the big time. I mean, your family and your kids. And this is why I keep going back to the Live Tour. Why, if you love your family, why would you not play the Live Tour? You can bring your family on the road with you the whole time. You have all the money in the world. You can bring 10 nannies if you feel like it. You can do whatever you want to do, and you have a paycheck coming in. You could shoot 5 rounds of 100, and you
could be Lee Westwood coming last, and you're still. I think Eddie Pepperell had a go at him the other day, as he normally has a pop at him, and he said, "You came last. You were 10 over or 20 over, and you're 6 times the average annual wage for your 3 days' work."
I mean, why not? Well, you can go down to those guys. Those guys are a different league. The likes of him and G-Mac and, the guys that are moving on. They're different. I mean, why wouldn't they go? But the younger guys you'd have to question. But why would you question them? Dustin Johnson is Probably, I mean, he must have 400-500 million. I don't know how much he's got, but he's got a lot, and he's living the dream. 3 days a week, piss off, bring the plane, fly the jet, bring the wife, bring the kids, bring 4 nannies, get rooms for all of them. They party, they have a great time, they live life, and they've got all the money in the world. I mean, you'd be a fool not to do it.
And then a 5-week break. Mr. Murphy,
Yeah.
when was the last time you got called Mr. Murphy? Well, you might get it a lot in the States.
At a
Good morning,
hotel.
Mr. Murphy. Probably at a hotel. And
In a
intercontinental.
hotel, that's about it.
What is one question you never get asked?
Jesus. One question I never get asked. That's a good one. One question I never get asked. You've stumped me.
I think there's something like that. I don't know if you know Keane. He won the South back in
I don't know,
Oh, eight.
He was
Yeah.
he was another fella in the house.
Okay. No said.
Yeah. You're banging
But yeah,
out the names now. That's another
He'd
one
be.
in the house,
He was saying he'd be up at 5 or 6 in Monkstown in the shop, and he might be going away at 1 o'clock for lunch. And pure Irish thing. Oh, half day is it? And he was like, no one asked me. No one asked me how long I've actually been here.
Yeah, I have no. Can you give me any easier questions than those?
I can, of course. It's normally a time. One shot you had to hit under pressure. Can you remember a particular one?
Yeah, two that live in my head. The second, when I hit a ball into the water at the big break in the final hole against Julian, I actually hit the same shot.
That's the 18th in K Club, right?
Yeah.
The fountain in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hit 5-iron the first time. I flushed it, but the wind came down. It seemed like it came from above and just killed it. And when I hit it probably the second time round, I hit it to about a foot to the divot. And I was like, oh, I got you now, boy. Oh. But I did that for TV. I hit it in the water for TV. They paid me big money. Another 100,000 to hit it in the water.
Yeah.
I didn't do that on purpose.
That's
I
one.
wish I was that good.
That's one shot. Did you say there was a second shot?
Oh, yeah, the second shot, the putt on the 8th and the 9th hole at the Irish Open. My mother, I got to the green, and there was probably, let's say, 150 people standing around the green, and they were all dead silent. And I didn't find out till about a year later that my mother had said, can you all say a prayer for my son? He needs to make this putt to make the cut. And everybody was dead silent when I got up there. I was like, what's going on here? Everybody was praying.
Everyone doing the rosary. Ah, that's brilliant.
Mm.
That's brilliant. Quick fire Q&A, Mr. Murphy. Are you ready?
Go for it.
What would your walk-on song be?
Oof. That's, jeez. You should have given me prep before I got here.
Oh, I'll tell you now, that was in that little blurb of prep I sent you. It's like the only question you need to prep
You
for
bastard.
is what is your walk-on song?
I never even.
Oh, I see you read the bed bit. For anybody listening now, you can.
Don't stop believing, I'd say. That would be it. Don't stop believing.
Just so people know, when people say, yeah, I'll have a chat and I'll send the invite and then I send a copy and paste and it says, laptop, headphones, etc., quiet space. And quiet space, you can get under the duvet if you need to, because that's actually really good for acoustics. And that's where I lost Mark Murphy, because the question after that is the only question you need to prep for is what is your walk-on song? So I lost you when I mentioned get under the duvet.
That was it. I was under the bed when you said that. I didn't need to read it.
No panic at all. So walk-on song is
Don't stop believing.
Don't Stop Believing. And I love it when amateurs sing it. Gym or pizza?
Gym or pizza?
Like a gymnasium. The gym
Jesus.
or pizza?
I don't really like pizza, but you can see by looking at me that the gym, I'll have to take pizza.
Oh, fear. Hat, visor or bucket hat? What type of golfer are you? Hat.
All day. Even though I should have a bucket hat to cover my ears.
Oh, and I've only mediums left. Happy Gilmore or Tin Cup?
Happy Gilmore.
Walk or cart?
As you can see, again, I'm fat. I'd say I'll take the cart all day. I enjoy walking, but
When you're home in Waterville, what do you do?
walk.
Walk. It's a walk.
We were
absolutely.
home there in the summer. There was that. We did a. Did you not hear about our what we did fairways for hope at Adair for
Yeah.
Fantastic
Oh,
Challenge?
yeah, that was a fantastic day. It was a
I'm on the
fantastic day.
board for that, and we put a trip on after that for a week, and we walked the whole week. It was amazing. We had unbelievable weather. I'd say it was the last time the sun shone in Ireland.
It was. We'd have fine 4 or 5 weeks after that event, and then we had the wettest July of all time. But it's good now. It's down.
Next year it's on at the K Club next year.
I mean,
June, so we'll have to get you involved in that next year.
When you're home, we'll grab a high stool somewhere. We'll hash that one out. Golf hoodies, yes or no?
Wearing one right now.
This is an audio only podcast, so the viewers can't see what you're wearing. Okay, so if you're yes for golf hoodies, the follow-on question is golf joggers, yes or no?
I have a pair, but I've never worn them, like on the golf course. So, I mean, the things that your man had on the other day, Tom Kim.
Oh, they weren't joggers. That was just damage control.
They were joggers.
He'd rolled up his pants because early in the year at the Memorial, I think it was at the Memorial, he went into like a bog. And if you saw John Ram, everyone thought he'd like leaked one down the side of his pants because the mud and there's basically casual water everywhere. So Tom Kim was like, I've been told to wear cream pants today. I'm rolling these up. He did. But Tom Kim was avoidance of another viral hit. He was like, I don't care if everyone will see on my ankles or my shins or calves that it's mud. But on my pants, they'll think something else.
The answer to your question is up to yourself. I'm not. Whatever. It doesn't.
You have a pair, so it's maybe
a
yes.
Pair, definitely
it's maybe a yes. You won't be wearing them in 105 degrees. That's a fact.
Oh.
Instagram or Twitter?
I had a Twitter account that I changed my phone, and it's the worst thing in the world to get back into. I haven't been on Twitter. I have a new phone 2.5 years ago, so Instagram. I would go back on Twitter, but I can't get my account up and running because I can't change the password. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
I'll put a word in with Elon there for you.
Somebody on knows what to do. I need some help to do that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Play or practice?
Oh, play all day.
Lovely. The last question now, right? And it's kind of a hypothetical one. So we'll put the scenario in. You're after a day of 36 in Waterville with 3 of your best buddies. And you're planning dinner that evening, and you can have whatever 6 people at the table with you. So you're at the top of the table. This is like Hyacinth's bouquet candlelit dinner, but it's your one. 3 people down the left, 3 people down the right. Who makes the cut for Mark Moriarty's dinner?
My dad would have to be there. Be nice to have a chat with him again.
100%.
I was actually watching a show the other night, and you know who I've always admired and I'd love to, probably the only person in the world that I would love to meet now is Morgan Freeman. I don't know why. I think he's amazing. That's 2. Would love to. Trying to think of somebody that I'd really like to hang with. Rocco would be sitting at that table because he'd bring a bit of spark and a laugh to. So how many?
And a box of cigars, probably. That's 3. There are people down the left.
We'd be smoking the stogies for sure.
So your dad, Morgan, and Rocco is down the left. Lovely.
And now we've 3 more left.
3 more down the right.
Three down the right flank. Alex Lifeson is a guitar player for Rush, and he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He came to Ireland with us for that autistic trip, and he gave 2 signed guitars that made absorbent money for charity, and he is just one of the best humans I've ever met, and he would definitely be sitting there too. So I have 2 left. Did Pedro come on this thing? Did he put me in his table?
He didn't even mention you. He's been all over this one. He didn't even mention it. And he's been on 3 times.
Yeah, of course. And he's he's done 3 tables, and he's
he's done one. No, he's on one table. He's on one table. I do like an annual roundup then at Christmas. He's been on there.
Yeah. Arnold Palmer would be another one that I'd put in there because he was a piece of work. I met him one time. Rocco brought me and Pedro to his office, and we spent a day with him. He was
fabulous.
He was a piece of work. And you know who else I'd put in there? Conor McGregor, just to piss everybody off and just have we'll get proper 12. We'll get some stout and we'll wreck the place.
I tell you, McGregor and Rocco in one place. Who'd have thunk it? Huh?
Let's go.
That's some table. Marky, thanks very much for your time. It's been really insightful.
Nice.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, my boy. We'll be on again.
Looking forward to having you back home in Ireland real soon.
You got it, brother. Thank you.